Is the feeling of not belonging familiar to you? The feeling of not fitting in, of being an outcast? Well, I'm Piwe. I've had the privilege of living in four different countries in my 23 years of living: Ireland, Kenya, Swaziland, and South Africa. These are vastly different but also kind of similar places. But the common denominator, something that I felt in all of these countries, was the feeling of not belonging. I felt different, like an alien. I actually used to describe myself as a purple alien because whether I was around people who looked like me, who came from the same culture as me, people who spoke the same language as me, I felt different. And at first, I used to think it was because of traveling. I was like, well, traveling must have fucked me up because what you mean in every single country, I feel different. But at the same time, at some point, I realized that I was the common denominator. It was me who felt different because I ended up learning as I traveled that there's other people who've also traveled. And yet, they fit right in. Matter of fact, they use their difference to their advantage. I have a friend, she's called Christine, she's in Ireland now. She's from Nigeria. Christine, sorry for calling you out like this, but Christine is one of the coolest people I know. She is eclectic. Another word I could use to describe her is out of this world. Like, she's an alien, actually. But in the best way possible. She's so colorful, so vibrant, and everywhere she goes, her energy shines. Like, Christine is not short of friends. If one thing she's blessed with is friends. When I was there, she blessed me with friends because I couldn't make friends because I was so meek and I was so scared. And what differed me from Christine, because she was raised in Nigeria, then came to Ireland, it was that she knew who she was and she was comfortable with herself, and the people that she surrounded herself with embraced that version of herself and never made her feel any sort of way. We knew she was different. She was different to any other, especially black person that I know, right? Because, you know, as a black girl, we've always been you expected to, especially as an African, like there's expectations set on us. And I saw her not portraying these expectations, and while I didn't portray them myself, I felt shame while she didn't. She was brave and bright in her difference, and she did all sorts of different colored hair, and her hairstyles were all sorts. And I was her hairstylist because I did hair, and I still do hair. And she'd be like, "Dude, I want you to do something crazy on my head. You're gonna do these two different colors, and you're gonna do this wacky hairstyle." And I would be like, "Great, somebody who just wants something different, right?" And I would do it. And even her clothing style was so colorful. She would buy the coolest chains ever because she knew who she was and she knew what she wanted, and she knew that she didn't fit into the stereotypes that were set for her or the stereotypes set for other people, because it's not even that she was different from just black people, she was just different, and she embraced it. And she was an artist in every single sense. She was a poet. She wrote what she felt, even though, again, even me as an African girl felt like, oh, expressing myself, what is that? And she'd always be like, Piwa, you're a writer. And I'd be like, no, I'm not. And she goes, your words are incredible, you're a writer. And I'd be like, no, I'm not, because I didn't have confidence. I didn't have confidence, so I didn't even know my dressing style. I would just, the thing is, like, I know how to dress when the clothes are there, but I don't know how to pick up the clothes. Does that make sense? Like, I don't know how to go to a shop and be like, this is my style. Over the years, I've changed like so many different styles because having traveled to all of these different places, I've been influenced by all of these different people and all of these different cultures. But because I didn't have a grounded sense of self, I didn't stick to what was mine. I didn't pick up what was mine. I didn't know what was mine, who was me, right? And so today, as you see me with this colorful makeup, someone who used to think wasn't artistic in any sense, thought they weren't creative in any sense, today I was like, I don't feel like being bland. I feel like being eclectic. I feel like being eclectic. There's another word, but eclectic is the word actually. Let me just. I think I'm searching because I feel like I'm using the word wrong. So let me just search eclectic. Once I have more confidence, I will be able to speak it more. I'm even spelling it wrong, but just so. The word eclectic refers to something that is composed of elements drawn from a variety of sources. It's often used to describe a style, taste, or approach that doesn't stick to one system or tradition, but instead chooses the best or most interesting parts from many different places. So I'm gonna also say synonyms. Okay. There's diverse, assorted, uh, I'm still not finding the word. Unorthodox. Yeah. Um, but that wasn't the word. It's okay. Either way, today I was like, I just want to be vibrant. I want to be different. And as I was doing my makeup, I was just thinking to myself, make people uncomfortable. Make people uncomfortable. One thing, we're scared of making people uncomfortable because we're scared that they're going to make us uncomfortable. Being like, what are you wearing? Who do you think you are? Laughing at you, mocking you. But it is those thoughts of feeling like people will do that that invite that. Obviously, people will do that when you yourself don't believe in yourself. But if you reframe it and you go, well, I like this. And that's it. You don't need to offer an explanation. You just like what you like. There's nothing wrong with that. And that's what Christine is. And that's what I wasn't. And I took a lot of inspiration from her. But I this is something I was never able to conceptualize. I just knew she was someone who knew herself, and I'd always be like to her and Amy, my other friend from Ireland. I'd be like, so Amy is from Ireland. She's also really eclectic. She's really cool. I'd be like, guys, you guys are gonna have to be my fashion buyers because I don't know what I like, but I like what you guys wear. And while I liked what they wore, it still wasn't my style, but it was closer to a style that I would embody than what I was wearing. What I tended to go for was like, what's the type of clothes I would go for? Streetwear. But I still feel like I still haven't found my style actually, to be honest, because I'm learning now. I'm learning who I am. Before I didn't even know where to start, but one point that I'm realizing where you start is where you start having some sort of self-worth. And when you haven't had any sort of self-worth, and when you haven't been taught to love yourself as you are and to accept all the parts of you, because having traveled to these different places, i have I have become different people, right? I have picked up different parts of myself that I liked within each of these cultures, that I am a variety of places and of things and of people in one person. And so one day I may appear androgynous, another day I may appear girly, another day I may appear super colorful, another day a bit dark. But I didn't know how to express that. And I guess I had a fear of being those versions of myself in spaces that didn't accommodate that. Because where I come from, my family, come from a very religious, very strict background. And so there's actually strict ways of how girls should be. They should dress conservatively, no pants, so obviously no shorts. It has to be a skirt and it has to be below your knees. You can see the dynamic here. It was very strict. So I think growing up, even though I managed to enter all of these different spaces, I still didn't feel comfortable embracing myself because I'd always been taught that I have to cocoon myself, that I have to hide myself, that I can't fully embrace who I am or who I enjoy to be, because who I enjoy to be is some sort of sin. So I even reach these ways you can dress while being modest, but I rejected all of them, and I rejected everything that aligned with the environment that I came from. But at the same time, sometimes then I would experience serious shame and then be completely that, but like in the blandest way ever. So I'd be super conservative, but like without style. Because I didn't know how conservatism and style could mix together, because I only knew conservatism as strictness. And the only freeness I knew was, I don't want to say immodesty, but to be sexy, because I felt it was a stark contrast. I grew up in black and white thinking. So for me, it was the only way to be flamboyant, to be out there, and to be to be seen and to be witnessed and to be appreciated. And the only way to fully express myself in the highest form of myself was in the most sexy way. But to not express myself was to be modest. To be modest was to hide myself. So I'm learning to get out of my shell because I've created a shell for myself. And the reason I've been uncomfortable in all of these spaces, and the reason why I couldn't make friends, and the reason why I couldn't be confident, and the reason why I couldn't express myself with all my might, with all my confidence, is because I had already come from an environment that shut that down, that created the idea that a girl, a child should be quiet. They should not speak. And so as a Black African child, a girl, I grew up feeling like to be out there and to speak and to be expressive is to invite unnecessary, unwanted attention. And if anything happened to me that was negative, it was my fault because I invited it. And so I learned to be quiet, and I learned that anytime that I spoke, it would induce punishment. So I learned to be quiet. And you learned the same thing. You learned that you have to be meek and you have to be quiet, and you shouldn't put yourself out there because that invites unnecessary attention. And if that attention is invited and something happens to you, it is your fault. Because you haven't been brought up to think and to understand that your life is within you. Your life is literally inside you. And the more you keep it stuck inside you, the less opportunities you get. The less opportunities you make friends, the less opportunities to make friends you get. The less opportunities to find love you get. The less opportunities to get work you get. You get less opportunities the more you hide. But you've been taught to hide because you've been taught that expressing yourself is inviting unnecessary attention. It can invite any sort of attention. But I think when you stay true to yourself and you express to people the version of you that desires to be expressed, you get all the greatest opportunities. Because you're honoring yourself and expressing the parts of you that you want to express, then you only invite and allow people within and outside who mirror that. And you reject, push away people and cut off people who don't align with that energy. Because you've learned to honor yourself, you've learned to honor your boundaries. But this is the issue. You haven't been taught to honor yourself and what is inside you, so you've hidden it. And so you have invited unwanted attention because you don't know what you like and who you want. And so you have people who are telling you what to do, when to do it, how to do it. You've learned to work for people. You've learned to be bossed around. And because you don't know how to honor yourself, you've honored them. So you're feeding their wants because they're honoring themselves, and so you're honoring them because you don't know what it is to honor yourself, and so you don't know how to stand up for yourself. There's a project happening, you're creative, but because you don't know how to honor yourself, in as much as you know that you like this skill, this makeup artist or whatever, when someone invites you to do a collaboration, you do what they want instead of what feels right to you because you're honoring them and not yourself because you haven't been taught to honor yourself. The most important thing you can do in life is know who you are, accept it, and appreciate who you are. Because the more you appreciate who you are, the more you express it and you bring it out into the world, and it shines in its magic as what it was meant to shine as. And then it reaches the right people and pushes away the wrong ones because they can't stand it. And that's okay. You keep wanting to keep people around who are not good for you because you think you like them. I promise you, you probably don't like half the people that you're trying to please and trying to entertain. You don't like them because they're not good for you and you can feel it. But because you haven't been taught to honor yourself, you haven't been taught what self-worth is, then you neglect yourself, you abandon yourself for these people who don't care about you, who you don't care about, thinking you care about them. because you don't know what you're not listening to your body. Your body can feel when someone makes you uncomfortable. Your body knows, I don't like this person, I don't like how they speak to me, I don't like how they act. But you still force yourself to be around them because you've been taught to please everybody else apart from yourself. You love everybody but yourself. But surely it can't be love. It can't be love if you haven't really asked yourself, no, but do I even like this person? Do I even like their characteristics? Do I like how they speak? If you don't ask yourself that, then you won't really know if you like the person or not. And so you're going to think you like them, and then you're going to keep pleasing them. You're going to work for free. You're going to do things you don't want to do. You don't even know that you don't want to do them because you're not honoring your body, so you're not asking your body what it needs from you. Your body speaks. Excuse me. Your body tenses up when it's uncomfortable. You shy away when you don't like the person, when they make you feel small. You're not meant to be people around. You're not meant to be around people like that. You're really not meant to be. And if it means leaving your community, then so be it. Because you can't change anybody apart from yourself. And sometimes changing your environment and changing yourself will then bring you closer to the people who are aligned with you. I urge you to please listen to your body. If you have to start with somatic therapy, somatic exercises, start there, because somatic exercises allow you to release the pent-up trauma in your body, which allows your body to relax, which allows your body to then listen to itself. Listen to any cues in your body that indicate any sign of discomfort within you. Listen to that. Obey that. And I promise you, you'll have a much happier life, because you will stop attracting people who are negative for you. The reason I was always not attracting friends, not attracting opportunities, why I was the common denominator in all of these countries, is because I didn't have any ounce of self-worth. Because I hadn't been taught how to love myself. I hadn't been taught to listen to myself. I hadn't been taught to honor myself, because I've already been taught that authority figures, men, that's who you listen to, not yourself. So you've dishonored yourself your whole life. You go to church and they're prophesying to you what they think is correct about your life, and you're listening to them, even though when you get back home you're like, but I don't really believe that. I don't really align with that. But you've been taught to neglect your own thoughts and take in everybody else's thoughts, because you've been taught that everybody else is wiser than you. You've been taught that all your teachers are smarter than you. So when they tell you that you're stupid in maths, you believe that you're stupid in maths. Even though when you and your friend are speaking about maths and they're teaching you, you understand it. So you're not stupid, clearly. You just learned differently. But you've believed them, because you haven't been taught to listen to yourself and to honor yourself. You haven't been taught that maybe this teacher just isn't right for me. You could have been passing this whole time, but because you've already been taught that you're stupid, you've already implanted it. It's a seed that's been planted into your head that you're stupid, so you operate like you're stupid. When you have any creative input in the workplace, when you have any creative input in your new house, your parents are telling you, oh no, this is what we're doing instead. So you feel like you're not creative. And so you stagnate, your creative energy gets stuck inside your body, it has nowhere to go. And so you listen to everybody else and they tell you, draw this for me, and you draw that for them, even though you want to draw a cactus, now you end up drawing a cat. So clearly you're not creative. You're creative, but only when people allow you to be creative, and only for their vision. You're now living for everybody else's vision apart from yourself. You don't have a vision because you've been told to close it in a box and lock it, store it away. It's collecting dust wherever it is. Please go inside the back of your mind and find the key, unlock that box, and look for the treasures that you have left. You have left those treasures, and your mind has been blank this whole time while you are consuming everybody else, consuming everybody else, consuming everybody else. What are you? You're nothing. You're nothing because you're not creating from your own portal. Your portal exists. Your portal of creativity exists, and for everybody, for you, for me, for him, for her. But We have been taught to neglect it. And the reason I emphasize today on being African is because I think we the most have really been affected by our inability to express ourselves the way that we desire to, or the way that we would feel free if we did, because we've been fed fears of danger, fears of sins, fears of, oh, but somebody's gonna hurt you, oh, but like you're putting yourself in danger, oh, but you know you're not gonna go anywhere, you're not gonna succeed, oh, but you know you want to express yourself, but they go, no, no, the church won't like that, so you're already an outcast. And when you're an outcast, and when you haven't been taught to embrace that, to embrace your difference, when you're shunned, you think something's wrong with you. Nothing's wrong with you. Absolutely nothing is wrong with you. You've just been taught that something is wrong with you, because it benefits everybody else to look at you like you're the crazy one. Embrace your crazy. Yes, you think different. And you think different because you're here to change the world in some way. You're here to change yourself in some way. And in you embracing your crazy, you align yourself with opportunities that are meant for you. And being crazy is not having incoherent thoughts. Their definition of crazy is you being able to articulate yourself and to understand yourself and to think deep and to be introspective in a way that you're able to speak clearly with intention, to have purpose. That is their definition of crazy for you. So when they say you're crazy and you internalize that, you're thinking they're saying, oh my God, I'm incoherent. Oh my God, I'm unclean. Oh my God, I'm dirty. And because you've embraced their thoughts and their version of crazy for you, you start acting like you're incoherent. You start acting like you're crazy. You start having like you have no good thoughts, no proper thoughts, no proper structure. You do have structure. What their version of crazy for you is that you know who you are. It is that you have looked within and understood who you are. But because you haven't been taught how to have any sort of self-worth, you don't even embrace those versions of yourself. And even when you do, you're still kind of fearful because you've been taught to be fearful. Someone's knocking. So the reason that I was personally the common denominator in all of these countries, the reason that I couldn't make friends, is because I was scared of my own potential. I was scared of fully being me in the presence of other people. I had so much fear, guys, you don't understand. I had so much fear to be free because I was constantly scared of being ridiculed for being myself. I was constantly scared of being called crazy and delusional. I was constantly scared for taking up space because in my own family they had never been embraced. Do you know what I mean? So I lived very fearfully. And I didn't know who I was. And I let everybody else take up space. I had so much valuable knowledge, information, so much artistic contributions to share. But I was scared of being perceived in a negative light because I thought I was negativity. Because that's the plant that had been put in me, like my existence is negativity. So I didn't take up ownership over myself. I was scared of being ridiculed or being bullied because that's what I'd experienced. But the reason I'd experienced that is because I didn't know who I was. So I didn't know how to stand up for myself. I didn't have any sort of self-worth. So I didn't know how to put myself out there without fear, but with faith, with knowledge, with certainty of who I am. For a very long time, I never knew who I was. I never understood who I was. The version of myself that I knew I was the version of myself people told me that I wasn't. So if someone told me that I was stupid, that I was annoying, that's the version of myself that I took on. If someone told me that I was too much, made me feel like I was too much, that's the version of myself that I took on. If someone made me feel like I'm too shy, too meek, that's the version of myself that I took on. Someone made me feel like I was insecure, that's the version of myself that I took on. I took on the version that everybody else gave me because I didn't know who I was from within. Right? And you're also going to be stuck in those cycles of not knowing who you are, of not being able to meet like-minded people, of not being able to be in the spaces that you deserve to be in because you believe you don't deserve to be there. You believe you're too small to speak. You believe you're too insignificant. And because you believe that, people treat you as such. They mirror what you already see about yourself. And so you're not being bullied anymore. You're just being projected right back onto you, being mirrored the version of yourself that you already believe that you are. You are inviting that energy because you are pushing it out there that that's who you are. People have no choice but to take that because you determine how people treat you. And so once you start being like, no, this is who I am. This is my voice. I'm going to speak and I have courage. I'm not going to let anyone tell me how to be, how to appear, who to be, who I am. Then everybody will start treating you as who you say you are. You walk up into the room with confidence and with knowledge and with certainty, people will start treating you like you're someone with knowledge and certainty and courage because you are courageous. And you don't need anybody else to tell you because you should know it from within you. And if you need to affirm it, then it's fine. Write it down in a notebook that I am courageous, I am strong, I am beautiful, I am loved, I am desired, I am an inviting source of energy. But when you write it down, you need to believe it. So maybe that's the thing that you need to work on now. How can I believe that I am who I say that I am? But you need to understand that you deserve it. It's your birthright. You deserve, by mere fact of being born, your energy is already magnificent. It is already magical. It is already out of this world because you were not born in this, before you were born, you were not in this world. So you are otherworldly as you are, meaning you are charming and beautiful and exuberant. Yeah, you're extraordinary as you are. So you deserve to understand that. You're not just a mere human being, you're a soul that needs to explode into this world, explode light. And the more light you explode, the more light you see. You start to attract that light because you're taking it out there by full force and you're not letting anybody tell you, because as a soul, who's to dictate your worth apart from you? So you are worth all the galaxies. You're worth every single imaginable thing you wish to have. You are worth all the love you have inside you that you wish to pour out. It is stuck. Let it out. Let it free. Let it breathe. Express it. And I promise you, it will come back to you just as you mirror it. Think of every failure and every possibly worst thing that you've ever experienced in life as life having happened for you to come to this point. See, for me, all these mistakes that I made, all the pain that I went through, it was for a reason. And I now am who I am. And I now am able to express myself as I'm able to express myself. And I'm now able to be as bold as I am. And I'm now as confident as I am. Because I experienced all of those things. And I'm transmuting it into positive energy instead of the negative energy that it was. I don't know who's home, but someone's home. Guys, I'm Piwe, and I'm even shocked. Mkolo! I'm even shocked at the amount of confidence I have in myself now. But one thing I'll tell you is that it's an energy that constantly has to be exercised. Having confidence is like starting to be fit. Do you know what I mean? You have to exercise that energy and you have to constantly remember who you are. I promise you, it'll go away if you don't. And then you'll be insecure again and you'll be confused. There's so many moments where I've been confident in my life, and then because I didn't exercise that energy, because I started repeating or going back into old ways of thinking that, oh my god, I'm insignificant, I'm not all that, I started being insignificant because I started acting and I started attracting that insignificance from myself, and so I started hiding my light. But now I understand that it is an energy that needs to be harnessed. Okay? Harness it. Allow yourself to be beautiful in your difference. Allow yourself to have confidence in your difference. And remember that it's an energy to be harnessed, it's a muscle to be exercised. Because if you don't exercise it, it will revert to the version of yourself that you once were. Again, I'm Piwe, and this is my perspective. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope there's something valuable that you learned from it. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you.